Well, just allow me come in here, because why I'm bringing this before you, we have always seen INEC, over the years, election years, say they are always ready, but logistics has always been a problem. But if you look at having a system like the card reader, and it does work perfectly well, don't you think that having that accreditation surely in a day and the next day with a card reader, the process can still go on transparently and effectively?
Yes, I have no problem with that. It can. But where it doesn't, it is only being determined at the tribunal. So we agree that you can do this today, and then tomorrow, the next day, you do the election. But apart from the possible changes that can come, and which nobody can determine it except you go before a court, there is also the problem of funding. Because instead of you to pay INEC officials for 1 day, you will have to pay INEC officials for 2 days. That is to say, you have to do 1 plus 1, making 2. So if you are budgeting 10,000 naira, for example, for officials, then you will have to budget 20,000 naira for the officials. So the money aspect of it is also going to be taken into account. We can avoid all these things if we become very dedicated to these things, and become a little bit more serious in getting things done. Now that elections are holding during the dry season, the issue of motorable roads and so on are being avoided. So I believe we can do this thing in 1 day. But if INEC says we should do it in 2 days, then I have no objection. Let us then do it in 2 days.
There's also a lot of comments about the card reader, where some, including your party members, think that INEC should be a lot more definite in terms of the voting method. Because yes, eventually the commission did say where the card reader fails, manual accreditation should be the case. Do you expect that to change? Because assuming they say, yeah, let's stick with the card readers, do you expect any such things to change where, again, if the card reader fails, resort to manual voting?
Yeah, even myself, I did manual voting. The card reader rejected my my fingerprints. I did it severally. They say, wash your hands. I washed my hands. I cleaned it up the best I could, but still it rejected. So at the end of the day, excuse me, at the end of the day, I did manual accreditation. But still, I believe INEC can come up with a more definite position. And the more definite, the one that I would recommend is the card reader. The card reader will go a whole lot of a long way to resolve these problems of the 3 basic problems that I earlier enumerated, as part of election irregularities. We really need to bring all these things out of our election process and ensure that Nigeria goes ahead and become one of the most credible countries in terms of election processes.
But how do we ensure that people don't abuse it? Because there are certain other places where they'll just tell you, no, the card reader has failed, whereas it hasn't, and then everywhere resorts to manual accreditation. How do we check that?
Well, we must have to reorient our people. It is all about our orientation of being dishonest in doing things. We must be honest. And without honesty, nothing will ever work, because you don't read the mind of man. It's embedded in him. No matter what you do, you don't know what he plans until he does it. So, but we need to go into our people's psyche and orient them, tell them, make them know that this is what it is all about. Honesty, they say, is the best policy. Not only in public issues, but even in private life, we must be honest. So I think the only way is orientation. Other than that, I can't see how we are going to stop somebody who intends, to cheat from cheating, except if you put all the checks and balances that no matter how he tries to cheat, he cannot cheat. Not that he wouldn't want to cheat, but he just cannot cheat. So I believe INEC can make it people should not cheat and cannot cheat by making it impossible for them to cheat.
In other words, we still have a major challenge in that regard, because no matter what they introduce, the human factor is another
Yes.
factor, key factor as a matter of fact.
Yes, I believe so.
Well, about the governorship elections now, how do you see that playing out? Because many have always said that, yeah, the way we voted during the presidential elections has never always been the same when it comes to the governorship. There's so many dynamics. What do you see playing out?
Well, they say all politics is local. Somebody who is in the village does not see a presidential election as important to his life, which is also true, as that of the governorship. And taking it further, he will see the local government election more important to him than that of the governor. So the closer the election, the more important it is to the man in the village, like they say, the man on the street. So in spite of the APC winning the presidential election, and in spite of the focus that it is going to be a bandwagon effect, I take an exception that there are states in the country where you will see that the voting pattern will fundamentally change, substantially change from the pattern that they took the previous 2 weeks in the next governorship and House of Assembly elections. For the simple fact that people see the governorship election as more important, as more crucial and closer to determining their lives than the presidential election. So I believe there's going to be some changes. It is not going to be bandwagon, as they say. There are people who are going to vote on the basis of what affects them in their local communities.
Part of what INEC said when they conducted those field tests of the smart card readers, one of those weekends before the presidential elections, was that the second item, the biometrics, to check the demographics in terms of how people voted. But now that there were those who went with manual accreditation, how much do you think that will perhaps distort those who may want to do their calculations or analysis based on that second option?
Yeah, even the manual accreditation, as we said earlier, is not that the card reader was just folded and kept aside. No. Manual accreditation, from the experience I had in the voting last Saturday, you can only do manual accreditation if the card reader is open and that your name is there, but only that the card reader has not captured your fingerprints to determine that you are there, but that your name is there and your face is there, but that this name and this face, is it the same with the fingerprint? And the manual reader, the card reader fails in identifying you. You are identifying your fingerprints. Then, having seen your name, having seen your face, then you go to the paper, the hard copy, and then they cross-check it, and then they accredit you manually. Not that the card reader is just closed up. Without the card reader opening and determining that your name is there and so on, they cannot just go and get the paper and then write it. If they do so, then obviously it's wrong, and that it cannot show to INEC that this and these people have been accredited manually and it's been recognized, by the card reader. So, and these are things that I said that can be challenged if in a situation where the card reader completely has not been used at all, has not even opened to show your name, to show your face, and that you are accredited manually, then that is faulty.